Yo, what is up, everybody? So I'm here and I'm going to be answering some questions from you guys that I've gotten over a little bit of time. So look, first of all, I'm gonna say thank you guys so fucking much for the love and support that you guys have been giving the album, giving the deluxe, giving the singles. The soundtrack's gonna be getting ready to come out. Look, we have so much to unpack in this fucking video. So let's just get straight into it. It's scrambled up, so you know there might be some serious questions, might be some silly questions, might be some back and forth questions, but without further ado, let's get straight into it. Have I ever made a diss track? I have. I have. I made a lot. I've made so fucking much, but for Your Medicine only, I'd probably say somewhere around 16, maybe 17, because all of The Abyss is a diss track. That's one big diss album, basically. You know, it's attacking the country and attacking people that were running it at the time, and it was just attacking people. It was telling people what's gonna happen. So The Abyss, and then I have I Found Her Too, and then there was another one, I believe it was one of my earlier ones, but yeah, I made diss tracks before. Next question, who is the most gangster rapper of today's generation? Honestly, King Von. I'm not really into that kind of music. I don't listen to that kind of music, but gangster-wise, I wouldn't say that he's gangster as in like 90s, 2000 gangsters, but I definitely say that bro was a fucking demon. What he was rapping about, he did it. And what he did, he rapped about. He sent warnings, he sent shots. I'm sorry, but that's just fucking gangster. I think that King Von is a fucking gangster of today's generation. And I'm not really with that kind of style of music, but I can see that he was a fucking demon. He was a fucking gangster. And that's my opinion. How do I feel about Tyga quitting music? I didn't know that he quit music, honestly. I haven't talked to Tyga really in a while. I didn't know that he was making music or that he wasn't making music, But I mean, I don't know. He had a couple good songs, so yeah, I don't know. How does Tyga feel about stopping Ordinary World? He was okay with it. He was okay with it. I was gonna leave it to him, but he didn't want it, so now it's just kind of, floating around for, whoever wants it. But, will I ever do another band? It just depends. It depends on, what's going on, how it's going. Right now, I don't see anything in the future for any other bands or any side projects. I just see focusing on Your Medicine, and just keep it going from there. I don't really see too much band shit going on. Why don't I do many collabs? I don't do many collabs because there's not that many people that make music like me. And the ones that I do, they're like really fucking like god tier already. They already got a big following, and they wouldn't work with somebody that's small like me. So That's why I really don't. And also because, I don't really trust anybody, you know. But if I could do collabs with people, I would I would love to have the Anarchists on a track. I'd love to have Deuce on a track. Those two really, I think it would be cool, I produce the track, Deuce and the Anarchists, they can fucking add the lyrics and shit, they can write it. It'd be fun. I'd like to do that either for a single or for an album or some shit, I don't know, something like that. I think it would be pretty cool. How did I get my name? I actually told this story before, but it's been so long. Like, it's one of my first ever fucking interviews. Where I got my name from, my old name used to be The Server, and I did that because of so many diss tracks that I was writing at the time. I'd be putting people in their place, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna serve them, their medicine. I'm gonna give them their medicine. And then I was like, I want to go by a different name. Your Medicine. And then I heard somebody say Your Medicine. I was like, oh shit, like, that kind of sounds cool. That's a sick name. Your Medicine. All right, cool. Then I'm gonna serve you your medicine, and that's that. What was it like making Death Do Us Part? Honestly, it was pretty simple. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was basically a simple, complex task because it was simple for the beat wise, just trying to figure out how I wanted it to sound and where I wanted to take it. That was kind of but it was just the music videos, because I feel like with an album like this, there's not really many music videos that you can truly do that fit with the story, because you're mostly supposed to listen to it. I know that people like enjoying it and watching it and shit, but I felt bad only doing 2 music videos, because I've always done like 3. But I was like, all right, I'm gonna get out this deluxe. There's gonna be a music video on the deluxe, and that's that. Pretty simple. Next question is live album. There will be a live album coming soon. It's just a matter of time, really. I know. I want to make the live album too. I don't know, maybe that could be something for early next year, or I don't know, maybe that can be sometime later this year, next year. I'm not 100% sure, but at some point in the career, there will be a live album. Do not worry, guys, there's going to be a live album. Because I've always wanted to do a live album. I've always wanted to make a live album. I've always wanted to do a special for the live album. But then I always wanted to just take the best live shows and just put them all onto an album and just, call it a day, because I think that's the best way, honestly, to go about a live album, is just the best live shows and then put on an album. Perfect. If I could collab with anybody, who would it be and why? Like I already said, Deuce, the Anarchist. But if we're being like crazy, super fucking famous people, I'd always love to collaborate with Hollywood Undead, obviously. It would also be really fucking cool to collab with Eminem. Fucking cool that would be. I know that will never happen, but I think that would be so fucking cool. Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. What made you want to do a documentary? What made me want to do it? I always wanted to do it, and I did like a little mini one back in the day. It was like 20 minutes long, so not really a full documentary. But I always wanted to do one because I always wanted to explain my story, explain the background, explain the albums, you know, explain what got me into music and where I was at the time. And that's what this documentary is, you know. It's, you know, going back through my, you know, whole career, my catalog, and, you know, just talking about it, you know, talking about the albums, talking about where I was at that point in time, giving even more insider look, even more details that I don't really say on interview. And you know, I've always wanted to do documentary, even behind the scenes shit, stuff like that. So, you know, stuff like that. You know, and what inspired me to do the documentary was, you know, Eminem's documentaries, the Hollywood Undead documentary live album, CD, DVD, that too. So I was like, okay, I like that a lot. And then 3 Days Grace, and then, you know, just documentaries about like hip hop and, you know, like old 90s beef and early 2000s beef and fucking the 2010s beef and 2016, like, you know, those documentaries. And then I've always wanted to do one, so I was like, fuck it, let's get this shit. What is the meaning of Death Do Us Part? So the album meaning, like, it can mean a couple different things. One, you can look at it as a beautiful fucking love story. You can look at it as a love story, or you can look at it as a sad story. You can look at it as like, oh, you know, death do us part, you know, I love you, and you know, you're my partner in crime, and then you got the negatives, and then you got the haunting, and then you got, you know, 6 Feet Under, you got Love Letter, and then you got the diary skit where, you know, it's either, you know, you killing your loved one or you killing yourself. You know, it's multiple different directions. Like, you can take this album however you really want to take it, and I think that's cool, and definitely unique, definitely a unique, fun album, different album, but definitely a very fun, unique album. And I wouldn't mind making an album like this again, you know, like through the same process. But, you know, that's, you know, a couple years down the line. We working, baby. We working, baby, for fucking real. Getting that grind. Why don't I feature on people's music and why don't they feature on mine? Because Your Medicine was just strictly supposed to just be solo. If I wanted to feature with anybody, or wanted anybody to feature, it would have been on Ordinary World. But now, since Ordinary World's done, expect more features on Your Medicine, because this is just going to be where all the music's going to be at. And then if I feature on anything, there's obviously going to be a post about it, and then it's going to be on the appeared on section of the YouTube the YouTube page. So go there, you can go there, listen to it. I'll even upload it. It'll be a single. It wouldn't be the first single that would pop up when you look at album singles. It would just be underneath all the albums, because it wouldn't be mine. But I wouldn't mind collabing and featuring on some shit. You know, I wouldn't mind making a couple beats for, you know, the Anarchist, or fucking Rel, or fucking Boy Band Troy, or whatever the fuck his name is. I've only listened to a couple of his shit. I'm kind of getting into him, though. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of getting into him, so I meant to give him a listen. And even with Deuce, too. I think that would be... Well, there you guys go. That is the interview. I hope I answered your guys' questions greatly. But now is the fun part. We are going to go get straight into the live show. I fucking love you guys. I hope you guys had fun listening to me rant, talk about shit. But look, I'll be out. Keep it easy. Go listen to the album, Death Do Us Part, and then Go listen to Till That Do Us Part. Listen to the new Friday the 13th Part 3 single out now. And